recording to the cloud now.
Okay. Episode 2. I feel like we should be official. Episode 2. And what's the name of our podcast? Do we have a name yet?
A family of educators.
A family of educators. Cha-ching. Amy Pickett, East Coast, pre-K, early childhood education.
And Galen Pickett, West Coast, university level physics.
Nice. Okay. Well, let's just get right into it since we've done a lot of warm up already.
Yes, but no one gets to that. The warm up is sort of private time.
Of course.
Yeah. The audience.
I need to keep my job for another 5 years.
I know. We'll talk about retiring, and that will be a very happy episode.
Yes, it's when the coffee gets to kind of kick in. So now that the coffee's done, we're ready to go. Okay, episode 2. So, teaching is so easy. Anybody can do it.
Yeah. Okay.
How easy is it?
Okay. So I love these softballs that we pitch ourselves right down the plate.
I know.
Boy, when I started in this business, the whole sort of assumption, so my entire training to handle a classroom of adults who are trying to earn a degree in one thing or another was a 1 week, 2 hours a day seminar before classes started in graduate school. And this was, I remember it as important. I remember it as, here's, first thing that I'm being asked to do as a graduate student. I learned a lot from that, but I did not learn how to teach from that.
Anything but.
Well, exactly. So I learned some specific details about how to be a graduate student for the next semester, which was all that I needed to get started. Because even as a graduate student teaching, a lab section, and I only had 30 people that I was responsible for talking to 1 hour a week, sort of work out problems, answer questions from the homework. But the very first time this happened, they scheduled me. These all happened at like 7 o'clock at night on a Wednesday. They put me in the lecture hall where my 30 people were supposed to go. There's someone else in another room that held 30 people, someone else in another room. Everyone came to my room. I mean, these are people that had been college students for less than a week. And okay, well, here's the lecture hall. And I just look out and see, oh, God, there's 100 people here. I guess I'm done with this thing that I was going to call people individually by name. And no, I guess what we're doing is more lecture. So I guess but I know physics, so I don't need to know how to teach, see? No. Now, not knowing how to do that, not knowing how to teach, I couldn't even put that into words. All I knew was I have to do something. I got to do something that makes it worth their while to be here. And that, I wound up putting way more time into those, figuring out what was going on with that than anyone really wanted me, imagined or wanted that I would. I didn't quite get someone take me to the side and say, you're not here to teach. You're here for something else. So you're doing it well enough that no one's complaining. So stop working at it. That's what we all do.
Yeah, right. Yes.
So that's my very first day teaching anything. I expect 30 people in the room. There's 100 people in the room. So that's been my career from beginning to end.
The expectation is way off the mark on how it's going to go or what's going to happen or what's around the corner.
Well, but there's also sort of a strange expectation that, I can handle a room of 130 people. now that I
Right.
have.
That's the only thing that you kind of feel like is now for sure. Like, I don't know
right.
what's coming, but I feel pretty confident that I can.
For 50 minutes, I can get in front of the room, make sure my pants are zipped up, and talk for 50 minutes. I can do that. I can do that.
Yeah. But that's definitely a long road from the first time you open the door and look out there to, whoa, okay, I'm it. Like, now they're all looking at me. Like, when did that happen? I was literally just one of them out there looking at the instructor. Now all of a sudden it's me.
And I got the nasty,
and I
nasty
can't
tennis
like
shoes
just sort of
on.
wander off or, be looking at something else online. It's like, you're the one that's it now.
Oh, online? What do you talk? What is this online of which you speak? This was back before people had phones. They had to pay attention to me.
It is. And actually, I was thinking specifically of when I was getting my master's, actually. So I had been teaching for a while, and they gave us laptops. So it was my first laptop.
Because
so
if you get technology, you know how to teach.
Yes. So I'm thinking, sweet. So they're talking about, I don't know, Rome is burning. You have to be in control of your school. It was for administration. So I'm like, so I'm online, and I have now pulled up Ralph Lauren's spring collection. So I'm watching them. They're on the runway, and then all of a sudden this music opens up, and I was like,
Where's the mute?
I couldn't figure out. So again, I think I just slammed it down, which I've learned very recently. Don't do that. But yeah, so it's you walk into a classroom and you do feel like, and you should feel that way.
But you've done some student
that
teaching.
You are the one that is, responsible for what happens in that. It shouldn't feel heavy on you. It should feel, there's a lot of things that can adjust your feelings on how you feel when you walk into your classroom, but it should feel good to you to know that you have some control. You should have some autonomy to do what what you want to do and what you love to do.
Now, so you must have gotten some sense of that as a student teacher.
As a student teacher, it was down in a very rural. So I went to college in a rural area, so it was even more rural where I did the student teaching. And yeah, it was that very gradual. You get like one lesson to do, and you pour your heart and soul in all of these lessons, because by the end it's just like a week of doing all the lessons. And I can remember it was my first like special guest star. I got lots of special guest stars in my classroom. I show up as lots of different people, but I showed up as Sid the scientist. So I had my science coat. I come up and I'm like, hey, Miss Pickett wants to meet you a friend. So I kind of spin around and I put on my science coat, and it says, hello, my name is Sid. And and I forget what the science lesson was. And one of the kids was like, oh, Sid, hey, Sid, hey, Sid. And I immediately broke character and said, I'm still Miss Pickett, and we're still going to learn here, but we're going to have some fun. And now I'm going to step back and be Sid. But you still need to listen to me, whether I'm Sid or Miss Pickett. And he was kind of like, okay. So then I was like, oh, was that the right thing? I was all like jammed up and nervous. And then my sponsor teacher afterwards, she's like, hey, you handled that beautifully. Like, you wanted to have some fun. You wanted to do something different. But you also let kids know, like, no, we're going to get some work done here, and there's going to be some guidelines and some structure. So that was probably the best 5-minute lesson of the whole semester of student teaching.
Mm-hmm. Because you had a heckler.
Yes, basically how to handle the heckler. That is an episode in itself.
Now, I don't get hecklers so much because no one
That
makes
you
an
know
adult
of,
show up.
the silent heckler.
Oh, I mean, that's when I was in school, when I was in college, I had, people next to us, we would say, can you believe that he's wearing that shirt again?
Yeah.
And, the way he's tucking it into his belt, the tension on that, the button is just going to go boing. Yes, we savaged every professor.
Yeah.
Routinely. And yes, I am sure that happens to me on the other side. But now they do have these phones.
Yes.
So they got a Discord channel going out to the side. They can say anything about me that they want. Fine.
Yeah.
And the ones that, so part of being a public heckler is just to, derail the lesson. Like, I don't want to do this thing. You don't want to do this thing. Let's just have some fun instead. And those people they never come to class. They're having actual fun. I mean,
Right.
you think about fun. Oh yeah, let's go make fun of the teacher. That ought to be fun. Well, yeah, if you can't get anything better. But it's Southern California and the sun is out and you're a surfer, I can tell because you keep calling me dude. As in, hey, dude, will you take this late?
Yeah. Dude.
Sure I will, dude. Am I going to pass this class? I think you're going to get a C. Thanks, dude.
Yeah, not for nothing. That sounds like my high school career. Although I was even happy for some C's. See, a C? Sweet.
I know that's not realizing who you're teaching is something that can, I mean, I don't think K through 12 teachers walk into classrooms to start a career without someone telling them, this is what you can expect from a 16-year-old. This is what you can expect from a 10-year-old. I walk into a classroom with the full authority of the university. I'm the one giving grades at the end of the semester, and I have no idea who anyone in the room is or why they're there.
Yeah. Yes. Well, yes. As a elementary school teacher, I certainly thought I had an idea about, a basic 5-year-old or now 3-year-old or a 10-year-old until you get a room full of them.
Right. You can talk about averages, the average kid. Sure.
Yeah.
But no one's an average. So like, I mean, who is an average? Let's see. On average, right now, there are no people who are eating.
There are what?
No people are eating right now on average.
Oh, right.
What does that mean? No one ever eats? Right. I mean,
right. Yeah.
So I will tell one of the only jokes. I got like 4 jokes that are part of my shtick. And this is one of them. So this is 1/4 of my entire payload.
Bag of
University
tricks,
level,
Felix.
exactly. For my entire my act. So there are 3 statisticians. Okay, three statisticians, and they're bow hunting. So yeah, I know that's got to be the joke in and of itself. Why would a statistician go hunting with a bow? I'll tell you why. So of these 3, they see a buck in a clearing. Okay, I got it. Draws very carefully, aims, but boom, the arrow goes wide right. The second one, okay, I got it. Takes aim. Boom, goes wide left. And then the third one goes, we got it. Because on average, it went right through the center.
That's right.
And yes, so I can teach the average student and have no one learn anything. And that's maybe one of the hardest things I had to learn was my idea of who I'm talking to is not as important as who I'm actually talking to.
Wow. Wow. I feel like we need to have we need to add little pow wows on that, because that's a
Boom.
statement. Yeah. Suck it to me. But no, I mean, that is, and that goes across everything about that student, social emotional, uh, social economic, intelligence, everything. What you think you might know, you don't know. And then I'm afforded the ability to get to know more, obviously.
I mean, that's actually one of the hardest parts of my job was learning that I had to do that. That I couldn't just rely on, okay, you turned your homework in, let's see what's in there. Okay, I know everything about you that I need to know now.
Right. Right. Yeah. And I will say that is probably the most, if not the most, one of the most rewarding parts of teaching, and why I like teaching, because I feel like if I had to put myself in a intelligence column, I'm like people smart. I like people. And just because I love coming across a little person who's 4 years old that's smarter than me. They don't know as much as me yet, but they're smarter than me.
Oh, they're dangerous.
Yes.
You got to handle them carefully.
And they are fun. And boy, they don't skip a beat. And it's, that's a lot of fun. But if I
this whole who's
getting to know
smarter,
them,
this who's smarter thing, people mistake it all the time with me for, mistaking my experience for intelligence.
yeah.
I mean, this should look easy for me because I've been doing it for 20 years.
Right. Yes. Yes, that was always my fallback growing up, because the three big boys, well, you're only smarter than me because you're older than me. But if I could somehow take a time machine 5 years ahead, I'd be the smart one. See, and that's what I told myself, like in my own little head when, and then I would look at Liam and be like, I'm smarter than you. Yeah.
Dummy. Hey, dummy.
Yeah.
I'll make you short so you can't.
Of course, Erin jumps up and I'm like, oh, she's like, I'm
Damn
smart.
it.
Like, I know you are.
Yeah, exactly. And so let's see.
Okay, so we just talking about how easy is teaching. I will say when I thought of easy, I was sticking on that easy word. I have heard that before. Teaching is so easy, and in truth, that's why I entered in, because I was encouraged to go into an easy profession like teaching, because I might not be successful somewhere else. But I was thinking like, wow, easy, easy. So one of the first things that came to my mind was I've had a lot of discussions and a lot of debates about this quote, which is, it's very easy to make a bad classroom. So there's always these labels, like all these teachers, they're always labeling like, oh, that's a good class. Oh my God, that class is horrible. Oh my God. And then the discussion will kind of float around the teachers with those classes. Like, oh, she's so lucky she got an easy class. Or, oh, why does she always get the easy classes? What? Duh. And it's like, did I get the easy class? Did I do a lot of hard work? So this class knows how to function in an environment where we trust each other, and they have a level of trust that they'll be protected and taken care of. So So that was the one thing that did pop into my head.
So that, let's see.
It's easy to make a bad class. It's really hard to make a good class. A lot of work. You got to do a lot of work to make I hate the whole easy, bad, bad student, good student. That's even another episode.
Although I got to say, there are students who take more of my attention and effort than they should.
Yes, I have students like that every year.
Yes.
Yes. It's a lot. I was also thinking that it is, if you, this goes along with the self-reflection, it is easy to do what I love in a hellhole of dysfunction. When you realize the environment you're in, and I hate to say it, but typically, on average, the environment a teacher is teaching in isn't going to be one of autonomy, trust, growth, even the ability to self-reflect openly.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just walk into the staff room probably and just be like, whoa, you would not believe yesterday. And this is how bad I was at teaching. And
all you people who are going to be
deciding
my tenure, let me tell you how badly that worked yesterday.
Right. And then the last thing I was thinking of, and I don't even know why I thought this, but just thinking in terms of peer support, if you don't have that peer support or you don't have an environment, it's easy, like my little house on the prairie, easy bake oven, which I cherished as a child. And it was like a little Holly Hobby. That's what it was, a little Holly Hobby, easy bake oven. It just, the product of that just reminds me of like, it really is the product of what you get if you're not teaching in a supported peer environment, which is low wattage, half baked calories.
But
I mean, I still ate everything that came out of that little oven, but it was worthless.
Have a little pie plate full of paste, but it's blueberry paste.
Yes.
I got to say, I was so jealous of that
baby food and sort of, like supplement that in. Slide that into the light bulb oven. Have that come on. It's bubbling over. Ah, hot. Ooh.
Yummy.
Fresh. But it's, I mean, teaching is anything but easy, but anything rewarding isn't always easy. So
the hardest thing.
That's the easy way.
The hardest thing is the things that they didn't teach me. I mean,
yes,
it's not
which
the
is
physics.
Everything.
You would think you think that the physics is the hardest part of my job, and that is the part that is. If you pull a random person, an average person, yeah, there are not very many people that understand physics the way I do. But that is one element. The hardest thing is, is actually making a connection with people. When I got into this thing to specifically not make connections to people, I got into this thing because, okay, fine, rocks, atoms. Let's talk about that. Let's just talk about that. Feelings, maybe not. We don't have those. We don't need those. Let's just talk about atoms.
Hey, I had no idea that I was going to be so knee deep in, emotional muck with students to kind of wade through it and untangle it all to kind of help them on that journey. Like, I didn't really learn that in teaching school. I learned a little bit, and then it was through trial and error, and again, liking people.
Right.
you know?
So, I mean, I do like people,
Yeah.
but I do not on my own choose to go hang out with a bunch of people to have fun. The people that I'm teaching are this burden. It's a responsibility, and it can feel crushing a little bit. But the most important piece of experience I've got is that they are tougher than me. My students are tougher than I ever was. If I had to deal with a half of what, a student who is willing to sleep in a car before going into a final exam. I mean, under those circumstances, I would have just, I'm done with this. I'm not taking this stupid exam.
Yeah.
I'm done. But and I don't have to, it is not like I'm the savior here. I have to go in and fix everything. I just have to make things be fair enough so that if you can see the profit of your own work.
Okay, so even, but a little bit further, because I know we've talked, it's not fair enough, but fair for what that individual needs.
Yeah.
Because you don't, through us talking a lot, you don't just go, oh no, I've given everybody fair square, everybody's got a chunk of, Dr. Pickett, you should all be good now.
Right.
Recognize like, whoa, this student needs this much, that student only needs this much. But they'll both
that's fair.
be successful in your class, and that's equitable.
Yes.
Right.
So
it's giving what they need to be successful. If I only need a 5-minute tutorial on how to just like put together a beautiful outfit, why would you give me a 20-minute tutorial?
Right.
I need the 5 minutes. Give the other 15 minutes to the friend next door that needs an hour and a half. Like, that just makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But somewhere, and I feel like it kind of started to become unraveled maybe 10 or 15 years ago, at least in my environment, where I'm teaching in the big urban school that I'm in, where people did start to talk about, look, fair isn't equal, fair isn't the right thing. We're not talking about what's fair. We're talking about what kids need. And if you're the teacher, that is inherent in your job. You teach what each kid needs. Some kids, the goal is like, we're all going to learn this. But some kids need 50 steps to get there. Some kids need 2. Just give this guy the 2. Give this girl the 1. And then this one in the middle, they need 50. Well, now you have the time to do that 50 because they got it and they're going. So that is a huge.
So if you're not willing to figure out who you're talking to, so first time I had a large classroom of people that were going to be scientists and engineers. This is maybe 4 years in. So for my first 4 years teaching, I'm teaching people that are going to be multiple subject teaching candidates. So K through 6. And I'm teaching them enough science so that, they're comfortable with that when they come across that in their classrooms. It's actually a 2-unit course. Normal lecture would be 3 hours a week. This is only 2 hours a week. But when I got into my first class that had sort of my people in it, then okay, I know exactly who these people are because I know who I am.
Right.
I made homework, the entire, homework. I loved homework when I was a student. Homework. By about Thanksgiving, I'm looking at this and saying, my God, they're only doing a quarter of the homework I'm assigning. Am I really just going to fail everybody? Hey, everybody, I've noticed, let me explain. This homework is where you're really going to learn things. So, and I know that some of you are really way behind. So we're going to take over Thanksgiving. I'm going to give you a homework amnesty. I'm going to give you homework amnesty. And on every assignment, the last 2 problems are going to be extra credit. So after Thanksgiving, all those last 2 problems are done on every assignment. Nothing else. Give me the extra credit. Give me the extra credit. There's one thing, and now that I know about people I'm teaching, extra credit seems to work, even though it's just basically points from one pile, points from another.
Right, right.
Now, I was a little curious. And well, God, why are people doing this? Why are they not doing the homework? So I got up the homework, went. This is back in my office, back when I got all of my undergraduate, I got all my notes, I got all the homework I was assigned. Pull out the class, homework problem 1. I thought people were willing to do 4 times more homework than I was assigned as an undergraduate at MIT. That's why they were only doing 1/4 of what I was being assigned.
Yeah.
Because what I thought they could do, what I imagined they could do, had no relationship to reality at all. Just sprinkling a little bit of extra credit, however, those students were able to do more work than I was asked to do as an undergraduate. So there's a little bit of a, sort of the sleight of hand of, maybe a like a bait and switch. Hey, extra credit kid. Oh yeah, you're going to do more work, but it'll be extra credit. Okay, sure. Yeah, I'll take that. Extra credit for me.
Now in the pre-K world, here we go. There's a problem. Kids are fighting over a toy. I come over and say, oh, you're fighting over this toy. Oh, you had it first? You said you had it first? Okay, here you go. Oh, stop crying. You're fine. Go away. That doesn't work. Nobody goes out and does their homework on learning how to solve problems or anything else. That one goes away mad. That one goes away happy for now, but probably wanted the cup, or maybe didn't want the cup or the toy, maybe wanted to play with the student. Like nobody knows what just happened.
Yeah.
But the extra credit, what's the problem? You let them solve the problem. Well, how can we solve this problem? They come up with a solution. Now they're the ones figuring it all out. They're way more happy with the solution than anything I could have dreamed of.
And it's less work for you.
I think the problem isn't even what the problem is. I'm like, oh, you want this toy? They're like, no, I want him to stop hitting me with it. Oh, okay.
Here's your helmet.
Right. So yeah, thinking, and actually that is one of our questions with teaching being so easy. One of the biggest mistakes, my biggest mistake in teaching, and I still have a little bit of time left, so I won't say the biggest because one might come.
The Guinness people are on the line.
My biggest mistake was assuming I had to be the controller of all things ever. Because
if it's learning that's happening, it's because you're teaching.
Yeah.
It's not like there's independent people out there doing things on their own.
Right. Or have independent thought or want to do their own stuff, and actually can do it their own way and still kind of get the gist of the lesson. When we did, I won't name a lot of names, but we, for a little bit of time, we did investigations math, which to a lot of people, they really misunderstood what it meant. It didn't mean, oh, any answer's the right answer, and this is make believe, and let's make everybody feel good about numbers and just play games. Ooh, no. The root of it was just trying to get educators, because I think kids were kind of already doing this, especially if they had the environment to do it in, was just playing with numbers and playing how you think with numbers. So like skip counting on a number line, or, so yes, say you have 5 plus 10, what's the answer? Well, if a student says, well, 5 plus 5, 5. Okay, so that's 10 and another 5, so 3 and 15. But then if you look at their work and go, no, that's not right. You have to, carry the one, whatever, right? Well, I guess 10 plus 5, you're not carrying any ones, but you kind of get the gist.
Yeah.
Like they had to have the algorithm correctly written down. They couldn't explain it, but they just needed to show that type of work, as opposed to, let me think about that. What does that look like? So 10, I know 10 is like 5 and 5 and then another 5. So 5, 10, 15, 20. I like counting by 5s. That's way more math and way more thinking than memorizing your 10s plus another number fact type thing.
Yeah. So I've not been a part of those controversies with Common Core, but that's how mathematicians think about numbers. Mathematicians don't practice these algorithms. Working mathematicians hardly calculate anything. I mean, all of that stuff, it's all churning in the back. They all like doing it. But I mean, the actual work that they do looks like sketches and bubbles and an arrow going here and there to figure out, what's true, what basically, how can you, the basic mathematical problem is, how do you know that something you're about to say is absolutely true? That's the problem with mathematics. And exploring that, trying things out to see what might be true is a really important part of doing math.
Is doing math. That's doing math, not memorizing your multiplication facts. That's memorizing.
Yes. So that's
thinking about.
So in
what does an array look like, and what does that mean, and how can you count by a number or go on a number line and skip count by 7s, and that's the idea of multiplying. Like that just got completely lost. To be fair, in our district, it was not rolled out very well. But it was defeating, because I liked the idea of investigations, and I'm sure 1,000 people now are just like, oh my God, killer. But because it was thought-provoking, and I was never really great in math. Once in a while, I feel like I thought about math for a second, and then I was like, oh my God, I kind of just, you get a little tingly, like, oh, I figured that out. Oh my God, I just figured, and then it would be gone. And I'd be like, okay, I got to go to the beach. But it was the thinking part.
Yeah.
I was horrible at memorizing facts, because I hated that. I was a good memorizer, but I hated, and I don't know if you remember, Mom got me this huge plastic, it looked like this huge plastic calculator that you would shuffle the numbers to get.
Yeah. I love that thing.
Yeah. I like the colors, but and it was, you need to do that for an hour. So I would just sit there. I'm just,
Yeah, actually, I like the colors too. I mean, I can picture it now. The sort of big violet down in this corner, blue up here, sort of a rainbow.
It went through the rainbow, and then all the way from 0s to 9s, and you'd slide them open and see
I wish I had that thing now. I'm sure I could find some pretty pictures to make with it.
Yeah.
So the sort of joy of discovering something and making it your own, that more than anything is what I try to. It's hard to teach that in a class that is sort of filled with facts that are 300 years old, which is basically what I'm teaching. But that sparkle that you described, when you finally understand something for yourself, that is the same feeling that you get when you've discovered something. So whether you knew it or not, or no one else ever knew, that's the same thing. Things falling into place.
Yes.
And when they fall into place for you, that's cool. when you're watching them fall into place for someone else because of a conversation you've had with them, that is so, and it's whenever I've had this, it's been a one-on-one conversation in office hours, in my office, kid holding a whiteboard marker or a piece of chalk back in the day. Because, you know, me doing the work doesn't make them, they don't change if I do their work.
Correct.
And putting that experience in front of someone. So I've got a bunch of people who are physics majors who are taking this course on maybe, here, let's see what teaching physics is about. We've engineered this course so that most of the time they're talking to someone, it's these experiences of helping someone understand something. So it's just tutoring. Tutoring is what these students do. So they don't do, I mean, it's another, you know, episode 6 or 40 or something down the line. Being a teacher is great, except for these things. So, you know, grading, I don't know anyone that likes to grade anything. So they don't do any of the grading. They just have the conversations and check off, hey, I helped someone. Someone just thanked me for knowing something, which is a total, I mean, in high school, people used to beat me up for knowing things. Now they're thanking me. This maybe is a kind of work for me.
Yes. So do you have any, a big mistake?
Oh, well, so there was you know, just assuming that everyone was me. I mean, they're sort of the cardinal mistake, which, you know, you have to start somewhere. So finding out that my students are not me. Okay, there's lots of ways they're not me. I was a traditional student. So are you. There aren't any traditional students left. I mean, traditional doesn't mean ordinary. Traditional doesn't mean usual. Right. Traditional means what was ordinary 30 years ago.
Yes.
So picking, you know, when I do plan, I plan, how is someone going to do the work in this class? I think to myself, well, you got the weekends off. Put all, you know, due date, Monday, 8 in the morning. No. That's a traditional student who is sitting in a dorm room wondering, I'm all out of homework and it's Wednesday and I'm lonely. Now what's next? I need more homework.
Yeah.
Next thing, I need to take more classes next semester. and I did. Man, did I. But no, my
did not.
Students would typically arrange the Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And Sunday, that's their work week. Those are the hours that they got. And I am now loading up their work hours with the homework. So not knowing, ignorance of who you're trying to teach, that's basically everything that's sort of gone sideways has come from that.
Yeah. Now,
figuring out who you're dealing with, that you can escape that. You can put walls up, like, I mean, there's a definite social barrier between professor Pickett and student. Like, you stay on that side of the screen. So seriously, stay on that side of the screen. You're getting too close. So I think the thing I had to learn most, that, I mean, if I hadn't learned, would have put me off on a totally different trajectory, was that that's important. Was that how people are feeling about what they're doing is important. And it's not just, you know, did you solve this thing I asked you to solve? Or did you even solve it the first time I asked you? I'm now sort of in a place where, you know, if it's an important problem, and I don't assign problems that are not important. I mean, why would I? It's just a waste. That's just a waste of time and bores people.
Right.
If it takes you 15 times to solve it, then you've got your 15 times. And that person, and you know, I could have written that person off as someone who's going to struggle, as someone who, you know, isn't going to make it in some way. But still, if you spend 15 weeks working on a problem from the very beginning of the semester and you finally solve it. You finally defeat it. You have learned a lot. You've done a lot of work. And no, that's not it. That doesn't mean that you're, that means that you're really, really good at this. That doesn't mean that you got a problem.
Right.
You're never going to give up on this, which is, there's all sorts of stories of people who are this close to some major discovery, but just, this isn't working out. I'm going on to something else.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Persistence, just, you know, and I probably, in my setting, teach persistence like one little second at a time.
You
know, and
by
that,
example.
you know, and right. And, you know, if something's hard, it might mean it's not going to come easy, and that's okay. Or something hard, it means you'll try and it might not be perfect. And that's,
or it might hurt.
yeah. Right.
Kid learning to do a skateboard trick, that's going to hurt a lot.
Yeah.
But they never give up.
Yeah.
I've seen a kid fail 10,000 times. They don't use the 10,000th failure as evidence that 10,001 will be a failure.
Right.
But, you know, screw up one math problem and, okay, well, I just can't do this. That persistence, that those sort of soft, so I guess two things.
Soft skills. Yeah.
Yeah.
The soft skills of how you think about yourself and education. That's all that's a lot of the stuff that I do.
Yeah. And
because if you're already feeling, and I have 4-year-olds that are already feeling, and this is day one when they come to me, they want to know they messed up. They get very upset if they feel they've made a mistake. And, you know, don't have the persistence to keep going. As soon as they make a mistake, it's dumb and I don't want any more to do with it.
Right.
And, you know, your first response could be frustration and even a little bit of anger. Like, no, this is what we're doing. You're going to do it. But, so maybe that was when I would first run into that. Then a little self-reflection and realizing, you know, why is that student right there? And it comes out of a lot of fear and doubt. And so it just takes a misunderstanding of what school is even all about. Like, this is where you make mistakes. This is the mistake factory. I love.
But you just don't make mistakes. You do something with them.
Yes. 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 So
I remember in kindergarten, back in Kansas City, I was screwing around, wasn't paying attention because I'm smarter than the teacher. Because, you know.
Because you probably were.
But we're making these Halloween witches, which, you know, fine. You got a classroom of 35-year-olds that you're trying to do this sort of fine muscle control detail work with scissors. But I'm too smart for everybody. So I'm just off on my own. I know. Oh, hey, got it. You want to make a witch? I got a witch. Got it. I know what witches are, pointy hats. So instead of paying attention, I do the project the way I want, and also whatever it was that I was, you know, interested in. It's basically a paper airplane in black construction paper with a yellow circle for the face, and then the hat is this. She had a template that you had to cut out. You fold it over, it exactly fits over the circle, and the hat is sort of cut off at the top. It's sort of a pilgrim hat. I mean, this is something that was going to come back in Thanksgiving. But no.
Purpose.
For me, it's a witch, Wizard of Oz, pointy hat, point. Put the hat on. Okay, fine. I got these two halves now because I cut the point. It didn't fold anymore. Now I got two pieces. So I glue one on one side of the hat with, you know, little bits of skull hanging out on both sides. The other one isn't quite aligned, but it looks good to me. And there, my witch. Look, Mrs. Bosick, my witch is done. That's not what I told you to do. That's not, follow instructions, blah, blah, blah. That's the entire time thinking, Ooh, I got to follow instructions, huh?
Yeah.
No, I got a plan B, which is to not do anything you tell me. So we'll see how this goes.
Oh, yes, yes. And that plan B is a strong and mighty plan for a lot of students, especially if they have just now been embarrassed in front of the whole class. Like if you have now exploited that to the whole class to see, you are guaranteed a shutdown. And then even worse is then the shutdown being blamed on the student. And now the student has a bad attitude. As opposed to, first of all, let's start with this is a creative project. We're doing an art project, right? So they should be able to kind of do what they want to do and make their own.
Maybe I thought we were in a factory making widgets and they all got to be the same.
Right. Which is such a pet peeve of mine. Like, and I'm in pre-K, and there is a huge expectation of just in general in the world. Like if you go on Pinterest, all you see for pre-K activities are all these really cute end product activities. And there is a time and place for that, especially if you're doing a one-to-one. And especially if you want to do an exercise on can this student follow directions? Like there are direction following lessons, right? But to do it with something that's supposed to be creative, it kind of, it's whatever.
Well, it gives you the idea that most of the great masters were doing paint by numbers and staying in the goddamn lines.
Yeah. I didn't have the patience for paint by numbers. I really wanted to. I really wanted the patience because I really wanted a picture to look like what the box looked like. And it just never worked. And I only got maybe a fourth of the way done and would always just like.
Then okay, that number there, it's a 3, but I'm out of 3 paint. It's a 5.
Yep. Yeah. Why doesn't my picture look like? Yeah, whatever. But yes, having that ability to have that open-ended acceptance and not shutting down. And that's not saying every answer is right. That's not saying that, there doesn't have to be, there's have tos where you have to do things in class and it's for the safety and the well-being of everybody in this classroom. So I'm not going to let you run with scissors because you think that's the best way to get your scissors to the table. But yes, so that type of thing. But yeah, that whole creative thing with everybody having the same picture is not creative.
She made me take that hat apart. So now there's black stuff all over the place and I had to put it back. I mean, it was just awful. Yeah. But it taught me a lesson, let me tell you.
Yes, it sure did, didn't it? You were a student and you did learn something.
Right. So that's, I don't want, there's a tension there between, someone leaving my classroom with an idea that just doesn't reflect the physical world. So that's not quite a victory for me. But having people feel safe enough to at least with each other, talk this over out of my earshot and make those mistakes that way. Because when they talk it over amongst themselves, they figure out what the right answer is. And it's not always, frankly, the white guy in the group that has got the answer. It's always the white guy in the group that most strongly identifies with me. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, I came here to study physics. That guy. I must be the best one here. That's an over-identification.
Yeah.
It's that in talking it all over, everyone gets to see that everyone is, is as good at this as everyone else. And there are some.
And that you need others to think about all this stuff.
Right.
Makes it
Right.
better.
I did this all by myself. Right. When I took this class, my idea of doing science was one person at the front of the room, me and my notes, and everyone else can go to hell. Not because, MIT, there's definitely people in a room where they're smarter than me, but I don't care because no one's ever going to know that because I am going to turn in something that is perfect.
Yeah.
No one will ever know that I misunderstood something. Actually, there was in September of my first year, sitting in a lab. These labs were optional. That's the big that should have. I learned this. What's that?
That should have tipped us off.
Well, I learned because I did this experiment. I make a graph, and then the instructor comes over, looks at me. This is awful. What were we trying to prove here? Put the label on. Put the label there. What does this equal that mean? And I'm just looking like, I'm just at step 5 of this procedure. And I never went back. Optional.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a theorist. I don't need to deal with you, man. That's so. I would have been happy playing around with stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's nothing quite like a harsh word from a professor in some environment where, that is something I don't know that I've made this mistake, but crushing someone's spirit with an offhand comment, that is something I've been sensitive about, probably from Mrs. Bosick days. Up through that first semester.
Oh, I got a lot of teachers that I got memories of. But to be fair, I was a pain in the ass. But yes, that is where I have to have my most forgiving spirit on myself, because I am human. And when I am working with 18 4-year-old human beings, and it's I have actually told students, I need to step away. I need to just go sit over here and be quiet for a minute. They're like, are you putting yourself in a timeout? And I'm like, and I don't use timeouts in my classroom, but everybody knows, all kids know what timeouts are. And I just looked at them and said, yeah, I guess that is what I'm doing. I need to breathe. And even being able to do that, have that communication with a student, took a hot minute to because that is a perception of me. There's the perception of having all the control. This is the teacher. She has all the control. She knows everything. She's going to do everything. And if the perception is that, well, she's not in control, she's not going to do anything, she's not going to keep us safe, like that's not what you want either.
Right.
No, it's a shared environment. So shared decision making and being able to just say, yeah, I need a minute. Like, I'm a human being and I actually need to go breathe because I'm about to lose my mind. That's, I have certainly, lost my cool. And I've gotten a lot better at not getting to that point, as far as and having the discussion with the actual student. It's different with 4-year-olds, and my last 8 years, it's kind of been a whole different kind of universe. But it's sort of crystallized everything in all the grade levels up until that point of kind of those type of things that I've learned. But now it's really, really important, because these are kids these first steps in school. And that is a big deal, because either they think it's the best thing in the world and they're willing to come back, or nah, I'd rather stay at home, which would be horrible. Like, you know, but a
And
snow day is always great.
I wouldn't know, but you wouldn't.
I don't know
So-
that we're going to know anymore. They might just call it okay, everybody digital.
Oh, good. Oh my God, that's right. Oh,
Yeah.
oh, what an evil plan there. This whole pandemic just to get rid of snow days.
Right. Right. Yeah.
That's gonna
My
rationalize
lesson
someone's
plan for the
budget.
day is, well, I'm going to set up my computer and I'm going to make a snowman outside. So if you want to come join me, click on the Zoom link below.
So I think we've got about an hour there.
Yeah.
Is there anything last you wanted to say about this? About how hard this is? Say, hey, everybody, teaching is hard. You don't want to do it. It sucks.
Man, it is so easy. Psh, please.
Yeah. Well, I think, yes, it's hard. And if you're doing it as a profession because it's an easy profession, I'm not sure that that's right.
Right. If you think it's easy, I'm not sure you're actually being effective or doing it correctly.
Yeah. And the kind of hard it is a kind of rewarding hard. So it's not the hard like an impossible hardness. It's the kind of hard like, oh, I feel sore, but I was just working out. I'll be fine. I'm going to recover from this, and I'm going to be stronger.
Yes. That's it. It's hard, but it's something that I love doing. So, I don't think I ever really felt like giving up in the sense of like truly quitting. I mean, I had horrible days, horrible weeks, horrible months. So I wanted to quit a thing. I wanted to quit the principal I had. I wanted to quit the group I was working with, or maybe a unit I was working on, but I never wanted to quit the teaching thing.
Well, we'll talk in 5 years when,
Oh, well, that's not quitting, that's retiring.
That's professional quitting.
Yes.
I've been practicing for that for a long time. I think I'm going to have it nailed.
Oh, I have got some exit behaviors all lined up for my last year.
Oh, where witch's nose everywhere you go?
Yes.
That's one thing to do. I'm thinking about that. I do have my witch's nose.
Oh, you do?
I do. It's flattened and it's decomposing, but I still have it. I can glue it to the side of my face and do it in profile.
There you go. And then get your witch's hat that you made.
To get my kindergarten witch's hat, I'm going to have to shave my skull down a little bit.
Yeah.
But
Get a little Gorilla Glue. I hear that works really well.
Okay.
A Tide Pod, and then you are good to go.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, so I'm going to stop the recording and then we'll see if we get